Hi, my name is John, and I'm from Dead Tribe Paranormal Podcast. I'm here at my condo, and I have a few visitors here tonight. We have Karen and Kurt from G.O.N.E.R.S, along with Kelly, my co-host, who is also in the group, and Dan, our tech guy. So the reason why they're here tonight, I asked Kurt to have Karen come over is because I've been seeing the apparition of a little girl inside my condo. And once my son brought it to my attention that he had seen it, it became a huge concern of mine. So I've asked Karen to come over and reassure me that everything's going to be okay and there's nothing evil, negative, or anything else in the house. I had a neighbor who I met a few months ago who was also seeing the same little girl. I guess from what she said, as she's popping in and out of the condos here, it seems to like my location more than any other. I've seen her on a few occasions peek around the corner, mostly in the hallways. Real quick glimpse of her up and down the stairs, laying in bed at night. Sometimes I'll hear walking in the hallway. So of course anybody's going to be scared of the unknown and knowing what it is. So now we're going to have Karen walk through the house and explain maybe what she's feeling, what's going on, and we'll go from there.
This is Dan Gilman from the Dead Tribe Paranormal Podcast. If you like stories like this, we have hours of free content in the podcast tab at echopodmedia.com. And if you want to be updated when new shows come out, sign up for our email list on the homepage.
Hi there, this is John. We're Dead Tribe Paranormal Podcast.
I'm Kelly, and we're here today talking with Karen Hollis of G.O.N.E.R.S and reading by Karen.
Welcome, Karen.
Well,
thanks. I appreciate that.
So we're putting you to work tonight. So you're doing a lot tonight. We're here because John's condominium, this whole area, seems to be haunted. He's been seeing ghosts of children, adults. We're going to be talking to a neighbor of his who's a 15-year-old girl. She's been seeing a few apparitions in her house as well. And we're just trying to get to the bottom of this, see if anything's malicious, if anything needs to go away.
Yeah. And
hopefully you're going to figure that out for us. So how do you do it? What is it exactly you do?
Well, Kelly, I'm a medium, and a medium sits between heaven and earth. So when I use my abilities to speak to the dead or hear the dead, I'm using what's called clairaudient mediumship. So I actually hear the dead more than I see the dead. Okay?
Right.
And if they communicate with me, it's usually in symbols or what seems like a little film that runs in my mind. Okay, and I'm able to then kind of see what they're talking about. So think of a medium as somebody who is just able to have a heightened sense of hearing or a thought process, I guess is what it is with the dead. So they speak through thoughts and symbols.
Okay. And you feel that you have, because we're on the same team, so we know each other.
Yeah, we
do. You've said that you feel you have spirit guides that help you with this, or, I've heard you say somebody's giving you the information on behalf of a spirit.
Right. I'm not sure that I believe in spirit guides so much as, people call them that.
Right.
I have spirits that work with me and for me. That give me the information that I need in order to do the work that I do. So I suppose they guide me in some ways, People like to put labels on things, like new agey labels on things, like spirit guides,
Yeah, buzzword.
Yeah, it's a buzzword. It's a new age buzzword,
How cool that I just stopped saying that.
No. So how do I do what I do? I think it's the grace of Source, whatever God is to you. It's just my calling. So I can go into a place and flip it on, and then decide is there something here or not.
Right.
So
here's a question I always wanted to ask: how do you distinguish, the good from the bad? If you're just hearing them, how do they come across? Because you said you don't see them, you hear them.
Well, I hear them, but I also feel them, John. So typically, I'll feel the heaviness or presence around me. And if they're quiet, I won't hear them. Just like if you don't speak, I don't hear you. Mm-hmm. All right. So it can be equally as scary for me when Ghosts of New England Research Society asked me to go into a creepy house because I'm just kind of feeling my way around, and typically I'll ask questions in my mind. All right, who's here? Who wants to talk to me? And to your point, how do you know whether they're good or bad? I mean, there are good or bad people that are alive, okay, and there are dead people who are good or bad. Be afraid of alive people with guns, not dead people, okay, first of all. So I try not to show fear because that's not going to help me out any. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether they're good or bad, to be honest with you, until after I'm interacting with them. I've had belligerent spirits. I've had one spirit that actually went like this and hit me in the head, and I felt it. And I thought, he just points my head, what is that all about, So, I mean, yeah, I've been touched by spirit and that kind of thing, but never harmed. And that's the only time when I actually was ever, had anything like, kind of go like that to me. So how do I discern what spirit is? I have to interact with it like anything else. So,
do they ever try to deceive you in any way? Like coming across maybe as somebody nice just to get in, just to have you trust them? And then
I don't trust anybody, John. Dead or alive, you know what I'm saying? So have they ever tried to deceive me? They have thrown their voice to sound like someone that I know.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, so that I would maybe trust them more, but I don't. And so in St. John in the Bible, it talks about test the spirits to see if they are of God. So I just discern like I would any normal person with a person that was alive. Why are you here? What do you want? Okay. And if I don't get an answer back, then again, a heightened sense of awareness. Okay, somebody's up to something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I have like this perfect sight or clairaudient sight where I can say, okay, that's absolutely good or absolutely bad. We go by the evidence at Ghosts of New England Research Society. We go by what we actually catch in terms of voices or on, in person.
Do you find that they love to talk more often than not?
No, what I find is as alive, so dead. So if you weren't a talker in life,
then you're not going to be a talker.
You're not going to be a talker in death.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have always heard that you are who you are in the afterlife. You were on.
I think that's important. Like, people don't change very often. I mean, some might, okay, they might have some regrets after they pass away, maybe for, things that they've done, but others don't. And so you have to assume that if you knew the person when they were alive, they're not going to change much when they're dead. And what makes them want to speak to you is they have a need, okay? Now, if that need is that they want you to know that they're still okay or they're around, they'll let you know that, If it's a stranger in your home, then that's a whole other ball of wax. Typically, what we find, and we were investigating the old Remington typewriter factory.
Right,
do you remember that, Kelly?
Definitely.
Okay. And there was a time where we all left the cameras, running, and put down some powder on the floor. And when we came back, we found there were footsteps walking up to our actual,
wow.
Yeah,
our actual,
I didn't know
cameras.
That trick actually worked.
Yeah, so we were hunting ghosts, and ghosts were hunting us. Okay?
Yeah.
They were seeing where we were. We were running all over the factory looking for them, and they were watching us on the
monitors that we're supposed to watch them from.
And I found that absolutely hysterical, So I think it's a game of hide and go seek sometime, Let's see how good Karen is. Yeah.
Quite possibly they were the pranksters while they were in life.
Yeah. So we're talking about so in life, so in death. Have you ever communicated with anyone or anything that you don't think was human to begin with? So demons.
And I'm not saying that they don't exist, and I hope I never meet one.
Yes.
I'm with you there.
But, I mean, when we talk about demons, I think people make too much out of some of the things that happen.
Yeah,
agreed. If that makes sense.
I think that has a lot to do with the TV shows.
Well, yeah, not everything is a demon, and not everything needs an exorcist. That's my opinion. opinion. Now, I think that you have to be rational and reasonable and try not to show fear, because I feel like energetically we are what our fears are, right? So we can feed off of fears. And I think you have to document what happens to you and decide, is it something that is happening because of kinetic energy? Maybe you're nervous or you're anxious, and maybe, if thoughts are things you're making this stuff happen. I don't know. You have to be rational. I try and be as rational as possible.
Sounds good to me.
And how does it sound to you? I know you've said before that they talk at a different frequency than us often, so you have to ask them to adjust it so you can even hear their voice.
Right. So if you can imagine that you hear almost like a Minnie Mouse voice, okay? And sometimes that's what it sounds like to me, okay, a Minnie Mouse voice. And I'll have to say in my head, in my thoughts, all right, now slow down, take a deep breath. I can't hear you, okay, because it just sounds like, okay. And that's because they're pure energy. And so, or I'll say, speak up, all right? I need to hear you. I was with a client in my office, and I was doing a mediumship session, and I couldn't hear the person. They were very quiet in life, so quiet in death. And I said out loud, speak up. And all of a sudden, I heard, Donald! Right? And my client said, okay, I'm really good with that dead person stuff. I'm good now. I don't need to hear anymore. Okay. But the man's name was Donald. And I was trying to get his name. And so when I said speak up, he meant it, and he used up every bit of energy in the room to do it. I had like Christmas lights and stuff in my cases that are on either side of me. Those went out, and my poor client, I think, was harmed for life,
What would you say is the biggest reason people do come to you? Maybe and make an appointment. What are they looking for?
Well, many people they're in deep grief, John. They've lost somebody that they loved, and we all want to believe that people that we love are going to continue on. And we are all looking for something beyond all this. Nobody wants to believe that once they die, the essence of who they are just goes away. And so people come to a medium to reconnect or to validate that what they're experiencing in their homes really is perhaps their mom or their dad or their grandmother or their son or their daughter. And so that's why we do a lot of grief therapy without being a therapist in ways, by just listening to the person and also responding and giving them evidence that people exist beyond all of this. At least we try.
Do you think it's a lot about not being able to let go, and they want to reconnect and stay connected that way, and maybe keep them here?
Sure, part of it is that, and the other part of it is that some people feel guilty. I should have done more.
Or said I love you before,
Right, unsaid things that have been unsaid. So you need to tell people when they're alive, okay, how you feel about them, and if you have a grievance with them, you need to either work it out or say your piece before they pass on, and let them say their piece, whatever that is. Again, people are people that are alive, and the time to work it out is not when they can't talk back.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's really important. There are I love yous and there are I'm sorries. Okay. Sometimes what I'll get is it is what it is, and no truer words have been said. Right. It is what it is, meaning that we didn't agree, and I have my ideas and you have yours, and it's okay. There was only one time when I was not able to connect with someone's loved one, and so I asked, like I always do, can I speak with this person by their first name and their birth date? And I was told no, and I thought, well, I don't do no, so I do this for a living. No isn't going to work for me. Right. So I went back to the spirits that work with me and for me, and I said, all right, you need to give me something, because no doesn't work. And it was almost like, well, he's in timeout, like that kind of a thing.
Oh my God.
Like he's unavailable. Right? So I thought,
go to the corner.
I thought, okay, well, no, you have to give me something. And so I did. I got a name, okay? And they gave me a name, and they said, give this to her, to the lady, and she'll know what this means. Mm-hmm. And so the name was Don Lambert, okay? And so I looked at her and I thought, here's like a leap of faith, okay? I said, well, they won't give me him, but they say to tell you Don Lambert. And she freaked out, like started crying and said,
oh my gosh.
And said, oh my gosh, that was the name of my biological father. And my brother who passed was the only person who knew who my biological father was. And so, that was a really powerful moment because it meant that he existed and that he was there. Now, why he couldn't speak, I don't know. I mean, do people have jobs on the other side? Do they have things to do? Are they busy? I would assume. I've
heard that before, from other mediums, that's a possibility.
It's an interesting speculation as to why I wasn't allowed to do that. And so, I just want to say that, that information is something that I'll never forget that name because it was so powerful. And she said, you've proven to me today that my brother exists beyond all of this because that's the one thing that, he knew that nobody else did.
That's amazing that you got the first and last name as well because, a lot of times even maybe because their voices sound funny or however it is.
You can only hear certain letters or
you can't
sounds.
usually get a whole name anyway. It could be like it's Kelly or Kelsey or Chelsea,
Yeah. Well, the circumstances were such that I think that when evidence is needed, I feel like the spirits step up, And so that was really a powerful moment in time. And it was neat.
It's going to be an amazing feeling, too, after you've helped them.
Well, it's always a leap of faith, John,
Right?
I know.
She could have said, who's Don Lambert? I know. What are you talking about, Yeah, so.
I have sort of a two-part question. So when people hear medium, I know they start to think everything psychic in the world. So I've been out with you. We've gone places to do talks. And one person wants to talk to a dead relative. One person thinks maybe you can tell them their future. I remember somebody said we want to talk to the palm reader. You just speak to the dead, right? You don't see the future or the past. I mean, I guess you see that a little.
Okay, we're talking about a bunch of different things that I can do. All
exactly.
Right? So mediumship is just one thing that I do. It's a very special ability that I have to be able to speak to the dead. So that's one of the things that I can do. Okay. All right. I also do what's called remote viewing, and remote viewing is what I do to find missing persons or missing things. Yes. Okay, and that's a whole nother skill set. And then if I'm working with people in my office, Kelly, to talk about their lives, I talk about what they've been through. So I can go backwards in time, okay, because time is not linear to a psychic. And that's I feel like psychic is a lower level ability, okay?
Okay.
So I can be psychic. I can just work on that level all day long and never get drained, okay? When I'm working in terms of mediumship, think of it as raising my energy, okay, in order to sit between what we would consider heaven and earth to talk to the dead. So the psychic ability, you can look backwards and you can also look forwards. Now, when a psychic looks forwards to the future, because everybody wants to know their future,
right.
Okay, what I'm seeing is actually the trajectory of the decisions you're going to make, meaning that if you've made those decisions, I'll see pretty much that path of what the decision is going to entail. All right. Now, if you hang a left karmically, you decide that you no longer want to date Johnny, you want to date Mark, or whatever, and you all of a sudden decide, okay, this relationship's over. You have free will, so I may see that there's an ending, but I may not see whether you hung a left or you took a right. Okay. So you create your own reality. You create your own future. You manifest what's going to happen to you. And if you change that manifestation, then I'm going to only see what you put into play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and thank you for that, because I just think it's good for people to hear this, because so many people get confused. Is it all the same thing? Is it different things? Some people can do two things where someone can only do one. I mean, I have people ask me sometimes, Karen, can she do this or that? And I'm like, here's what she does as far as my understanding is. And what you're asking is just different,
Well, if you use a tool, Kelly, like if somebody uses cards or bones or stones or anything that you touch, when you touch those cards, bones, stones, and whatever that tool is, okay, and that reader is reading that tool, all they're accessing is your subconscious mind. So I want you to think about that. You're shuffling the cards into what I call predictable patterns, okay? If I know every pattern the cards can come out in, there's no way that I can be wrong, you see.
Right.
But it's only your subconscious mind, which also includes your hopes and fears and all your desires. So I kind of have to wade through, all those anxieties, and I can see, oh, well, that's how Kelly sees her life, you see, all right? But the psychic part comes in when, say, I shuffle the cards for you as a tool, and I don't have your hopes and fears. So then I'm able to access, okay, what does Kelly have in play? What kind of decisions is she making? Okay, again. And then I'll tell you what I feel the future is going to be. Because again, my hopes and fears are not going to overlay onto your life. I'm just going to tap your energy through your first name and your birth date with your permission. And if I don't have permission, of course, I wouldn't do that.
All right, so the second part of the question I believe Kelly was going to ask is about how the spirits that you communicate with, how are they able to see the future and what's going to happen?
What I get from them is many people believe that when people die, it's like, well, my father saw that last Christmas or that last birthday or that last whatever. But the living assume that the dead no longer see the future, and that's just not true. So we know that, all right? What happens is that perhaps I'll have your dead aunt come in or your dead mom come in, somebody that's passed away, a discarnate spirit, and they'll say, I saw John. He was ripping out the tiles in the bathroom the other day, and, they were Pepto-Bismol pink, so I'm glad he's getting rid of that bathroom, that 1950s bathroom. And I saw him, with the new blue tiles, all right, or whatever. And so they typically talk about things that you're doing now, okay? They'll show up with like a paint roller in their hand, and then I'll see the color on the roller. I'll say, oh, you've been painting your house a certain color, all right? For women, I've seen where they've been shopping, okay, and they're maybe purchasing like bathroom rugs or something like that, and the mother will say, about the daughter, and she had a white rug in her hand, and then she had a blue rug in her hand. She decided to buy both of them, and there's no way that I could know that. I wasn't there. So I believe that the relatives of the dead pop in, see what you're doing presently, okay, and we'll say something about it. As for future, maybe if the baby's going to be born, okay, I might see, that there's going to be a child that's going to be born, and they'll say, they'll blow the surprise and say, it's going to be a boy. Tell them it's going to be a boy.
Yeah, that's the thing I was thinking about when I see things like that, like tell her it's going to be okay, or tell her this is going to happen with her
So for all of you who are having baby showers and don't want anyone to know what your child is, try and keep it under wraps to your dead relatives by not talking about it in the house, because they're listening sometimes, So I don't know that I've had very many dead people really talk about the future. In some ways, I almost feel like that's kind of off limits, because, if they were to tell you what was going to happen, couldn't you change the trajectory of that?
Right.
And I think some things are fated, and some things, like I said, we create our own reality. And so many people feel like they are fated to meet someone, or to experience a particular situation. And so I don't know that they have the power to really always spill the beans on things, if that makes sense. So Michaela, when you sensed the little girl around you, did you see her with your eyes or did you hear her?
I've seen her and I've heard her.
Okay. And the first time you ran into her, how did you run into her? Tell me a little bit.
The first time I ran into her was when I was upstairs and I walked into my mom's room and I looked and she was turned around. I saw blonde hair and I thought it was my little sister, but my little sister was behind me.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And was she see-through or was she opaque, standing there like just a regular person?
She was standing there like a regular person.
Did she seem startled when you walked in?
I'm not really sure. She was just standing there.
With her back to you?
Yeah.
So did you ask her who she was and that's how she turned around, or did she feel you and turn around?
She disappeared after that. I looked at my little sister, then I looked
and
back.
You looked up and she was gone. Yeah. So she must have felt you in the room then, no doubt. Okay. Can you tell me about the second time you ran into her?
It was just in my room one day, like right before I went to sleep. She was just standing again, face back.
So you feel more tired?
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason I ask is that if you have a real ghost in the room and they need energy to show up like that. So, they'd have to be drawing it off of you or other things. Any batteries go dead or television shut off or things happen in your house like that? Any electronic equipment, phone ring, nobody's there? I mean, things like that?
My mom, apparently my mom said the doorbell rang and no one was there.
Oh, so she wants to say, open the door, I'm here. Huh?
And doors open and close.
By themselves, okay. All right. I kind of sense that, things go disappearing. You'll look for something and then something disappears and comes back. Is that about right?
Yeah, one time I remember I had my makeup all out on my
I was going to say your eyeshadow palette went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it anywhere. And so went to school and it was back a couple of days later. It was back where I put it.
Right. They call that an apport when a spirit takes something and then puts it back. Okay. Also, I kept seeing nickels or some kind of change that goes missing and comes back. Are you finding nickels?
Well, I find change all over my floor all the time.
Yeah, I kept getting that there was nickels or some kind of dimes or something going on over there. Yeah. Playing games with that, That's pretty interesting. You also have a flowered key to the house, or your key to the house has a floral pattern on it. Which key has a floral pattern? Or I keep seeing flowers and a key. So do you have a key to the house that has a different pattern on it than a normal key? Does your mom have
a
one?
key that has Tweety on it.
Okay, it has something else on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's yellow on it, and okay, I thought that was a flower or something. Okay, because I kept hearing her say something along the lines of she messes with your key, or the key doesn't always open the door, or something like that. Is that true?
Yeah, it's to my old house.
It's to your old house.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you see her in the old house by any chance? You didn't sense her in the old house, but she knows the key doesn't fit in the door in this new house. Okay. So did the key go missing, or you keep it in the top pocket? You keep it in a zippered pocket somewhere?
It's in one of my drawers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have it in a pouch or something? Or?
Yeah, it was in a makeup bag.
Yeah, because she knows it's in a zippered pouch is what I heard her say. Okay. All right. So, I don't get that this person's going to create a problem for you, really. It's just, it's kind of a nuisance having somebody show up and then not show up like I Dream a Genie, right? Yeah, kind of. What questions do you have for me about ghosts? Anything in particular? Or?
I don't know how to shut it off at sometimes. If I'm at school and I'll hear stuff, I don't know how to...
Shut it down?
Yeah.
Well, just like anything else, you can't walk around just whoop, whoop, feeling everything, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is to just say, okay, that's not for now, and I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing. And you just tell the dead, don't bother me. Just like if your friends came up to you, on the playground or somewhere, or in the library or wherever, and they wanted to bother you, hey, right? So you just tell them to stop, and before you go to bed, you say, you need to respect my sleep. Please don't just show up to me because that's not what I want, And tell them if they have a specific message, you want to know what that is. Okay? Yeah? All right. Also, there's a bangle or there's some kind of a bracelet that apparently is underneath something. Did you miss a bracelet?
Yeah, I couldn't find my Tiffany bracelet.
Okay. And did you find it yet?
Yep, it ended up underneath my table.
Yeah, she just told me underneath your table. Okay, so I know I've got her here. That's fine. Yeah. No, she's not trying to hurt you. She's not trying to scare you. She's just sort of around. Okay, yeah. So I think you have a very special gift. You're a very special young lady, so that's pretty cool, But, she needs to respect your space and not drain you. And so you need to basically say to her, you need to decide what you want to do. You want to go find your mom or that kind of thing, right? Yeah. She keeps talking about a brother. So do you have a little brother?
I have a little sister.
Okay, you have a little sister. But there's somebody that you call your little brother. Is this your friend's sibling? Or she keeps showing me a little boy. I don't understand this. Is there a little boy around when she's around, or do you ever see a little boy?
No.
Somebody named Jackson or Jack? Not Kurt's son, Jack.
No, Zach.
Zach.
Yeah,
That's her.
I have a brother,
That's my
Zach.
1-year-old.
Oh, okay. All right. Zach, not Jack.
Zach.
Oh, okay. All right.
No,
All right.
he's
And he's big. He's not little.
He's 21.
Oh, all right. She says he likes to play jokes, or he can be sarcastic with jokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly found in the kitchen making food, she says. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she knows a lot about your family for sure, That's kind of cool. That's really all I have, on her. But, I don't get that she's going to create any harm for you, Is there somebody named Suzanne or Susan? Who's that to you?
I have an Aunt Sue, but...
Is she alive or dead, honey?
She's alive.
She's alive, okay. And she had some health problems, and she's better now? Suzanne or Aunt Sue?
That was weird. Maddie was talking to my friends yesterday, saying that my Aunt Sue was sick and died.
She's not going to die, but she does have something, and apparently she's going to be okay, according to the little girl.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Okay, I think that's all I have in terms of questions for you.
So, back to the story we were talking about the little girl. I was told by a few people that she's not like fully white. She might be a mix. She might be Native American. She has dark hair, shoulder length. Now, I don't know if you have seen her or you're just hearing her.
I haven't seen her, but
Okay.
my sense of it is her mother had Native American, her mom.
Okay.
And I'm getting the chills, so I know I'm right about that. So the mother was Native American,
Okay.
and that's part of it.
She's also been seen now. There's a few things been happening at work. Inside the office, I was answering the phones. People were calling, and I had a friend sitting next to me, and I'd pick up the phone and talk to the member that was calling. And above us are tiles, the ceiling tiles. One was missing. It's like cut in half, and it's missing, so you can see the steel way up. And I'm on the phone with a member, and my friend is looking at me, and I'm talking to the member, and then she just starts crying, and she's holding her mouth. And I get off the phone, and I said, what's wrong? And she said, I just saw her. She's peeking through the tile, looking down on you, smiling. And I said, oh my God, I got the chills. But she described her as short, brown, shoulder-length hair, and she had like pajamas, almost like a nightgown, pajamas sort of thing. And she said, John, she's a beautiful, beautiful girl. She said, but she's probably like 8 or 9 years old. And now she's seen her a couple times there. So I'm wondering, does she follow me to work too? Is it a different person maybe?
No, I think it's the same little girl, but I don't think she follows you to work all the time. I think there was a curiosity factor there. And what I got was almost like giggling, like kind of looking down through the tiles and then being like, and then looking down through the tiles and then, again. Yeah, and just trying to figure out what, all right, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? That kind of thing. The other thing that I think happens is she's got one doll, and this doll has yarn hair, okay? And it has like almost like a Raggedy Ann doll, but not really, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It was a cloth doll, okay, that she had. And that's like the one prized possession, okay? I feel like she was buried with this doll, and for whatever reason, she carries it with her, or she has it with her. That's like her one possession. So I can give you that, okay? And that was made for her by like a grandmom, like her mother's mother, all right? So that I know. But I don't think she follows you every day. I think that's a one-time experience.
Okay. And the other thing is, was there a father in her life? Or was it just a mom?
Just the mom.
Just the mom.
Which is why, because you take care of your children and you're a single parent, okay, she's intrigued by the fact that you're a good dad because she doesn't remember her father. And so this is kind of an attachment to you. Hence the
makes me sad.
The daddy, okay. It's the daddy, okay. And so I am getting the chills, so I know that I'm right about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me sad. I love kids. I mean, I think that was one of the first things you got when Kurt had talked to you, is just how I am with my kids, but just confirming that nothing's bad and that she's here for good reasons. And
yeah, well, I feel like she had a good mom. I mean, I don't think that her mom was neglectful in any way. I just got the impression that, would have liked to have had the father, okay? And I got the father, was passing through or was a drifter or a wanderer, okay? And she was born to the mom, but really never knew the father. So that's why. So, we can have compassion for another spirit that walks the earth, but I don't get that there's anything bad or she would ever do anything to your children or anything like that. It's just a curious thing, if that makes sense.
Is it wrong for me to ask about why she passed so young?
My sense of her passing is there's some kind of trauma to the head, from what I can understand, but I don't get why. Okay, and it's an accident, so it's not like somebody abuses her or murders her or anything like that. And that's my sense of it. But she was not an unhappy child. Okay.
Good.
It's not like living some, horrible life and then having that happen. So trauma to the head is what I got.
That's good. I needed you here tonight because I told you when you first got here, and this was off camera, that I was feeling like I failed as a father. Only because of the investigating, I thought I was bringing stuff into my home. I never want to put my kids in a situation where they have to worry, where they have to be stressed out. I'm just being overprotective. So I thank you so much for making me feel a lot better about it. And that whatever is here is not bad, and they just like who I am as a person. And again, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, John.
I really appreciate that.
I mean, I think as ghost hunters, we need to be vigilant about things like this because, we don't know what we pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could come up with anyone of us.
But remember what I said: be afraid of alive people with guns, not dead people.
You got that right.
Okay, got it?
Yeah.
Right. Those are my thoughts as a medium.
So.
And a ghost hunter.
Yeah. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
And that's it, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
I'll see you on our next Ghost Hunt.
Kurt,
Yes,
Dan, thank you. We appreciate it.